Greetings, and salutation. My name is Rita X, Sister Rita X, and I want to just spend a few moments sharing with you why our people, Black people, the African diaspora around the world, including our African brothers and sisters, why it is so beneficial to have a yoga practice. Let me get this aside, disclaimer, I am a yoga teacher. Yes, I am. And I have been for quite some time. My journey with yoga began because of my quest for health. I had been diagnosed at one point with moderate depression. And the first thing that they want to do in this country is put you on a drug. They want to put you on drugs. There was a list of different drugs that was offered to me, such as Prozac and Wellbutrin and things of that nature. And doing my research into the side effects of all of those drugs, it just did not appeal to me. I knew there were so many more side effects, and I said there has to be another way to heal. So I began my journey, and this was before the whole Google and everything and the internet was just really exploding, you know. I actually had to do my due diligence. I had to go to the library, go figure. I had to look in encyclopedias. I know, what an ancient word that is. And I had to really talk to people. And I started hearing about this yoga thing, you know? And I was saying, well, you know what? I know how to stretch. You know, I have a background of health and fitness. I know how to stretch. I don't know if yoga is really going to do it for me. But guess what? After really starting to research it, I came across St. John's wort, which is an herb. And it helps a lot with, you know, depression for people if you want to take a natural herb. I'm not promoting anything. But I said, I want to go deeper. I want to go deeper into understanding, you know, how to break out of this fog of depression. Yoga continued to come up. So I said, you know what? Maybe I need to give this yoga thing a try. Maybe, just maybe, there's something even more for me to learn. And that is the beginning of the journey. When you realize that your learning cycle is never done. He who thinks he knows everything knows nothing. And that's the truth. But he who knows that he knows nothing is a very wise man or woman. So I started this journey on yoga. And there was just a beautiful awakening. Practicing yoga has nothing to do with your religion. Don't make this a religious issue or a political issue. This is a human, spiritual issue. There's all different types of yoga teachers out there, which will meet you at the frequency that you need to be met with. But I really strongly advise our people to align themselves with a spiritual yoga teacher. And when I say spiritual, I don't mean that you gotta go and sit on a mountain like a guru and go, ooh, that's not what I'm talking about. But if that works for you, that works. But I mean a teacher that you can relate to. A teacher that does more than take you through the poses. A teacher that really deepens your breath, deepens your gratitude, deepens your awareness about who you are. Representation matters. And here's another thing. Not until I was well into my journey of yoga did I also discover the true essence of the beginning of yoga. Kinetic Yoga. African-centered yoga. And it made sense to me because if you've ever walked inside of the pyramids, You see the hieroglyphics, the paintings on the wall. The pharaohs were painting them doing yoga. But at that time, yoga was practiced by the high priestess, by the high spiritual realms of the society. But then, isn't it always the story that the more you dig, the blacker it is? The origination, the beginnings of everything. In the beginning of me practicing yoga, I had no idea. Because everything, once it comes to America, whitewashed out. Which then it made more sense to me why it was such a spiritual journey for me as I began to practice yoga. It made more sense to me why, as I would lay there and I'd be in the final relaxation pose and tears would stream out my face as I cleansed and released myself of toxic energy and toxic thoughts. My DNA code was aligning with my ancestors. So my practice of yoga began to be even more of a connection to my ancient ancestor knowledge and awareness. To understand what I'm saying, you have to understand. Not understand, you gotta go in. And in the society that we live in nowadays, especially in America, even colonization though is everywhere in the world, don't get me wrong, but in America, where I'm still living, Babylon, every day, if you watch the news, which I try not to watch it every day, you're bombarded, your senses are bombarded with images of violence, of disrespect, of devaluing your life as a human, as the original man. They've reduced you to believing that you are a savage man, when in fact, you're not. You taught the savages how to not be savages, but in turn, they flip that. And the television distorts every image until you yourself start believing it. So when you're practicing yoga, yoga brings you back to opening up your awareness, your third eye. Your pineal gland is right here, your pituitary gland. And in that gland, that pineal gland, there's a lot of wisdom and inner guidance where you actually align with your higher source. Once again, I didn't say anything about your religion, but you align yourself with your higher source, and the truth becomes very, very obvious to you, prevalent to you. You're able to see clearly, looking through illusions, looking through the lies, looking through the manipulation. You get so much stronger. And when you're faced with opposition and situations, it doesn't mean that life is perfect, but you have a tool to help you process and get back up on your feet. I say yoga is like prayer in motion because you move through the poses, you breathe through the poses, but you're also in awareness and you're in gratitude. And your wisdom expands. Your wisdom, the third eye, expands. Bringing it back to the beginning, the original part of my journey was because of me being diagnosed with depression. A few years into yoga, actually a year into yoga, the depression was completely alleviated from my body. Gone. Drug-free. Once again, drug-free. ever since that, and you're talking about that was probably about 15, 16 years ago. It's been a minute. Ever since that, yes, you'll have moments of sadness, but going into deep depressions and so on and so forth like that, no, I didn't have that anymore. And even now, living in Babylon, there are situations, and oh yeah, they set me off. Don't get me wrong, they certainly do. But the inner standing of what is actually happening around me is never ending, and it always stays open. Understanding the matrix and my desire to bust through the matrix comes from my deep spiritual yoga practice. So I would really, really, really recommend my brothers and sisters to begin a yoga practice, because the day and the times that we're living in now, we need you focused, aware, and strong. Mind, body, and soul. Don't give up on us. The awakening is happening. So thank you for just being here. Thank you for your presence. Blessings.